Hello and welcome to today's Writing on the Edge seminar series. The second one, I believe, in the series. It's all a bit of a blur in the upside down. It's been a bit of a tough week as well, but there we go. The tough get going, as they say, or however the phrase goes. Now, those of you who've been following me for a while and are coming to these sessions, I had a bit of a revelation and I was like, oh my God, I can do hard things. And I figured out how to switch between the screens really quickly. So, woo, as Glennon Doyle says, I can do hard things, like switch between computer screens. So here we go, we're recording. And so this is week 2. And I am sharing screen. No, I'm not. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen, but I'm not at all. There we go. That was nice and simple, wasn't it? So week 2 is understanding the psychological impact on writers and readers. As also, those of you who are joining me for the first time, as you can see, I like to have a bit of a giggle. And I am a writer. I am an author coach and a boutique publisher. But first of all, I'm a reader. Out of all of this, and those of you who've joined me for previous weeks, you'll know that for me, the most important person when it comes to books is the person who is investing their time, their money, and their emotional capacity and intrigue and imagination into reading the things that we create as writers. And before I'm an author, I am a writer. I will write loads of things that will never get published. And then we have the writer who is published, and that some people are doing it for business, some people are doing it for expose, some people are doing it for cathartism, some people are doing it to make a difference in the world, some people are just doing it because it's their lifelong dream of actually having a book published. So whatever it is, whatever your reason for writing, I'm hoping that you will be gaining some value from all of these sessions that I'm running. And when someone has asked me recently, what is a boutique publisher? And a boutique publisher is somebody who specializes in a particular genre or a particular focus. So it can be, they can publish both fiction and non-fiction, but they have a focus on something like myself, which is social impact. And it also means that we either publish for other people as their white paper. So they'll come to us, we'll do all the publishing for them, but we publish it under their brand. Or you can publish under my brand, which is DBI. And so that is just to clarify for people what I mean by a writer, reader, author, coach, boutique publisher. So this week is understanding the psychological impact of writing. And we're going to be covering things such as it says here on the slide, the internal impact of writing about trauma, protecting our emotional energy, and the truth telling with tenderness. Had to get some alliteration in there, didn't I? Wouldn't be a writer if I didn't. So yeah, so let's get started. So step 1, before we do anything, we have to check our understanding and our clarity of what it is that we mean by a certain thing. Whenever we're having a dialogue, whether it's written or spoken, or whether it's on stage, through art's a bit subjective. Well, it's very subjective. But I like to make sure that we understand what we mean by impact. Because some people think, oh, impact's a really quite a heavy word, it's quite a dangerous word, it's quite a forceful word, but it doesn't have to be. The impact I have on somebody can be very gentle. It can be very, I mean, if you'd have seen me in the dojo a few years ago, my impact when I gave you a right hook was not very gentle. When I threw you on the floor, definitely not gentle. But again, it depends on what we're meaning. Are we having a very subtle, softly catchy monkey kind of impact on someone? Are we drip feeding things very smoothly? Or are we going in and giving them a punch in the face like a mosquito hitting a Mack truck? So again, understand what it is that you mean by impact. It could be the impact on an individual. And how is that ripple effect going to, how far is it going to spread? How far is it going to be like the wake after a speedboat? Is it going to be the wake after a yacht? Is it going to be, you know, the wake after a paddleboard? Again, looking at what it is, the ripple effect that we're causing with our work, because once we understand that, then we really truly understand what it is that we're trying to create and who we need to bring with us and how we address the certain subjects that we're talking about. Now, for example, one of my books, let's grab Alpha. Alpha, Saving Humanity One Vagina at a Time. This was talking about female genital mutilation and how blood diamonds in Central Africa, where the blood diamond trade was actually a distraction, or wasn't a smoke screen, but it was hiding a lot of sex trafficking in that part of the world. And what you can see on the front of the book is that she felt like quite alien in a because she was going against the local traditions, go against the local culture. But you can see the blood diamonds and the drop of blood coming out of her eye. Now that is a subliminal. Some people love this cover, some people hate it. Like, but I had to be very, very careful with what I was writing about in here, because there are some people who, and you know, female genital mutilation is part of their everyday world. It's not a religious thing, it's a cultural thing. Some people are for it, some people are against it. And I had to be very careful on how I was being respectful to the culture. I had to be respectful for the people who had been through it or been traumatized through it, and by it, and looking at the political aspect, because obviously you've got companies, some very big diamond companies in the world, and people who have bought these diamonds. So again, it's about what is it that, what kind of impact was I looking to create with this? And it was an awareness. I wanted to create an impact of awareness. And an education, because a lot of people think that female genital mutilation is just purely Islamic, but it's not. It happens as much in the Christian world as well as the Jewish world. It happens in atheist communities. It's very much a cultural practice rather than a religious one. So again, it was making sure that the education and the awareness that I was creating was engaging. It was making sure that people transformed the way they thought about the world and the subjects that I wrote about. Now, what was really interesting about this particular book is I had been carrying Alpha's story with me for quite a while. I know her personally. Well, I know all the people in the sequel series, but personally, and her story is quite harrowing. But I don't focus on the actual story, the events themselves. I talk about the situation and I talk about her alchemy. The whole of the sequel series is about that transformation and how people turned their pain into their power. And then again, it's like, so we basically looking at how we're writing about these subjects. Now, what actually happened, I had written chapter 1 of this book, and my body released so much trauma, I ended up having to go to the bathroom. And when I say painted the porcelain, it means I vomited. A lot of the trauma that I was carrying from Alpha's story actually just purged out of my body. I have written, when I wrote Layla's story, the second book in the sequel series, I slept for a very long time. I was mentally and emotionally exhausted from that, writing that. And again, it was what we're carrying. If we've been holding on to information about corporate espionage, if we've been holding information within us from government corruption, it might be that we suffer from migraines. It might be that we're just so tired all the time, or we feel that we've got a hand around our throat and we need to voice what it is that is coming out of us. So if you're writing about certain things that you've had to keep quiet for so long, you might lose your voice, you might feel a bit sick, you might have flu-like symptoms. So again, it's making sure that you understand that when you're writing, these things may happen in your body. I'm not saying they will. Everybody is different. Some people find a huge relief. They feel that they're very emotional. They start crying because it's that energy that you've been storing in your body that you've started to move. Started to get it out of you, and you've started to really, truly understand the impact of the story that you're telling. And one of the things that I really love to work with my clients with when they work with me on a one-to-one, we touch on it in the self-study course, the 7-week author course. It is like, do you have to write this story, or do you get to? Because when we look at those two phrases, when we say, oh, I have to do this, it comes with really heavy energy. When you change those words to, I get to do this. And if you can see there the difference, and I want you to repeat this to yourself, choose things that you feel that you have to do, and then reframe that to, you get to do it. You get the opportunity to do these things, or to become these things, or to become these people for other people. You get to be a voice for other people. You get to transform your industry, or you get to transform your trauma. And it's all about this reframing that we do, and the different ways in which we see the events that happen in our life. Now, I'm about to share something with you that is incredibly personal, but it's incredibly important because, and I will tell you that it might trigger some of you, but if we don't speak up about these things, then it's actually going to stay hidden within our body. A number of years ago, I was raped, and I realized I was holding on to that shame. That shame is not mine. It's from the person who did it. But that shame doesn't belong to me, but we store that in our body. Now, one of the things I've realized is, by the more I speak about it, the more women I am able to help open up and release the trauma from within their body. And it's helping other people understand what it's like to go through that, the nightmares that we have, and how it becomes like Japanese knotweed infiltrating every part of our body. And the thing is, when we write about these things, it's we get to purge that from our body, but we also get the reader to understand how someone can live through it and actually alchemize that pain into power. Now, it didn't happen to me. It didn't happen for me. It happened through me. Now, those of you are like, what the hell is she on about? If I say it happened to me, that means I'm being a victim. It happened to me. And we stay in this victim mentality. If we say it happened for me, we then step into the next phrase. Okay, this allowed me to look at who I'm surrounding myself with, situations that I'm putting myself in, or it looks at where I can learn about the world. And for me, it was like, okay, this helps me learn forgiveness on a whole other level. This helps me look at where I might be giving away my power. It might be looking at, okay, is there an energy signature that I'm carrying that is attracting this? And I know that for some people, what are you talking about? How are you attracting it? But again, when we say it happened for me, it's a learning exercise. When we say it happened through me, it means that we get to alchemize what it is that we've been through. And when I say been through, it happened. It's not happening now. It happened. And I can alchemize it, and it travels through me, so that we actually then get to share what happened, so we can raise awareness, and we can help other people overcome. We can help other people forgive, and we can help other people heal. And we can help raise awareness of how to stop this. Now, I've got a book coming out about it. Of course I have, because again, it's the alchemy and that cathartism that we're looking at. So look how you can reframe the things that have happened in your life. And instead of saying it happened to me and it happened for me, it's happening through me. Those of you who are aware of the quantum realm and ego work, then you'll understand where I'm at. And if you want to learn more, then do let me know. The next one is step 2. And I've slept a lot as I process this, because our body needs it. And when we surround ourselves with incredible people, such as my wonderful VA here, Tai, who's with us today, when they take on additional tasks, or they're there to support us, or my son, who also works within my business, and that, for example, Jerry, who is my amazing cover design, and Khaled sorts out all the tech, business analyst tools and finances, and And again, it's that looking at how we support ourselves and making sure that we have people around us so that we can rest, we can sleep. When we sleep, our body rejuvenates. When we sleep, our brain does cleansing, and our subconscious gets to work. So I highly, highly recommend sleep. If you haven't already read it, I don't know. Obviously, I've got a book on it. The Sleep Revolution by Ariana Huffington. I found and read this when I was in Brazil. And it's one of the most incredible books on sleep I've read. I've read quite a few. But yeah, so use sleep. Get yourself some healing meditations. There are lots on YouTube for free. And there's also Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've written his name here. And he says about healing the energy centers. Now, when we're looking at how we're writing, we're not just looking at how we're healing ourselves. We're looking at how we can heal other people. Because one of the things that I say that a lot, don't I? One of the things I've just realized, but one of the things that we become conscious of is that when we write about subjects that are transformative for other people, we not only do we clarify our own thinking, our belief, and our moral and value systems around these issues that we write about, but what we're also doing is we are healing by osmosis. So if we're using other people's case studies, if we're using other people's journeys, like Alpha and Layla and Moana, Pandora and Faith, and I'm going to be going on with Social, Guard, Officer and Judge, 4 more books to write in the Sacral series. When we're looking at their journeys and we're writing about them, or we're looking at the impact of corporate corruption on the employees, or we're talking about some kind of systemic abuse, what we're actually doing is we're putting our energy on a certain part of our body, and it's about us noticing in our body where that is. Where do we feel it most? Is it on our masculine side, or is it on our feminine side? Where in our body is it residing? Is it above our crown chakra? Is it in our heart space? Is it in our womb space? Is it in our ankles? Is it in our knee? Where is it that we're feeling that? Is it in our throat? And when we do a meditation, there we can actually heal this and cleanse our body through the different vibrational sounds that are put in the meditation music. I'm not going to go into the science of quantum realm or epigenetics. If you haven't read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, again, I have another book here. Of course I do. Becoming Supernatural. This is an incredible book. So just make sure that if you haven't used anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza, I highly rate him. Get out in nature. Absolutely get out in nature, because what that does is it removes us from the screen. We're out there, the vibration of the trees or the vibration of water and the ocean, or just being in the fields, where things like you're talking about rebirth, you're talking about energy moving, the energy frequency. It actually helps us recalibrate our own bodies. Lying down on rocks, lying down on the ground, on the sand, on the grass, whatever it is, or lying in a hammock between 2 trees. I do that a lot, or I did that a lot when I was traveling. And you'll have probably heard of the phrase, where your attention goes, energy flows. So if you want to heal certain parts of yourself, if you focus on your heart chakra and you want to open that up, then you're going to be healing from that, and you're going to be inviting a lot more love in your life. But you're actually going to be sharing that, because there's a lot of people that don't have it, and it's good for us to actually share that with them. So step 3, as I said, pay attention to your body. I'm going a bit faster here. And for those of us who sit at the typewriter or the laptop, or at a desk a lot, we tend to find that we carry stress and tension in our neck and shoulders. Get a regular massage. And if you can't afford to get a massage, get a I love a back scratcher, and I've got like a massage tool, and I just run that about, or I actually just massage myself in the neck and the shoulders. And I use the pressure points in my brain. So you've got one here right at the top. Yours will probably be in a slightly different place to mine, but it's mainly in the center where when you were born, your scalp all, got this squashed, it all comes together. And if you're just pressing on those points, you can just release some of the tension. Like that. Really nice. And one of the things if you have a local college, further education college, vocational college near you, you tend to find that they have like beauty departments. And so they're looking for people to massage, give facials to, and maybe get hair done. But they have lots of a lot of vocational colleges have departments where the students need people to work on. So if you can't afford a nice boutique massage and facial, etc., go along to your local college. They're supervised. They need the training. Give the gift. Go to a chiropractor and get some Reiki healing, get some acupuncture, reflexology. This might sound a bit la-la or a little bit too woo-woo for some of you, but trust me, when you are moving the energy through your body, your clarity of mind becomes so much better, your vibration rises. And a lot of people will think, I'm here to tell you how to write about trauma. We're not actually in a lesson. I do English lessons and writing lessons, but again, when you're writing about these things, it's about you paying attention to the highest level of being able to write. This isn't about sentence structure. This isn't about making sure that you've got the full stop or the defining or undefining clauses in the sentence correct. This is about you creating from that conscious unconscious creation process. It's about you harnessing that process and being aware of what is going on within your body, because when you're aware of what's going on within your body, when you're writing, you know that if you're writing this and it's really heavy in your body, likelihood is it's going to be really heavy in your reader's body. And especially if they've been through that. And one of the things we do not want to do is re-traumatize our readers. We do not want to be doing that. And we need to be looking at how, when we write from flow, because we are in a much higher vibrational state, when we're writing from that point, we actually are able to step back from what it is that we're writing. And then we get a bigger, clearer, a better and a much clearer idea. We go, okay, I've stepped back. I can see it from here. Now I can step through that. And then you can move forward a lot clearer. It's one of the things I do with writers in my Writers Unblock session. And it is that physicality, moving your body, getting out into nature, creating a decent space. Now, as you can see, I've just pulled books from my bookcase because I know where they are. And I know that if I'm researching, I can just grab a book. I know that, and I'm not moving, I'm just in this complete flow. Everything is where I need it to be. And again, it's like everything, all the trauma or the stiffness or the aches and pains in my body, I know how to release them. I do some yoga, I'll go for a swim, I'll go for a sauna, I'll go for a walk, I spend time with my dog. And again, it's about how we can, or I'll dance around and have a kitchen rave. So again, it's about understanding what's going on within our bodies, because when we're writing it, we can actually reduce the chaos within our writing and the chaos energy that we then pass on to our readers if we're not actually writing from a much clearer space. Have I lost all of you who don't believe in woo-woo yet? I hope you're finding this very interesting. And as I was saying, like when you're re-traumatizing yourself or purging the pain to heal, like I did with Alpha, when I was writing Pandora, and we're looking at the alchemy of where she, I just nearly told you where her story was set, and the actual story in the book is set in Anchorage of Alaska, but that's not where she's from, because I've had to look at the stories in the Sacral series and find somewhere that's very similar to the environment, the main person, the main character, was from, so that I can bring out the story. Now, Pandora, it's really hard not to say her name. And this is something that you have to be very aware of when you're writing about other people's trauma or other people's stories, how you continue to protect their story. Um, and when I was writing Pandora's book, one of the things Pandora did, um, shortly after her, well, just before her healing journey began, she was walking past a lake, and she, even though it was freezing cold water, and there's no way you'd have got me in that water. I'm not a Wim Hofer. Um, Getting in that water numbed her body. It also, putting her head under the water. She wasn't intending to kill herself or drown herself, but it was just the silence of being under the water. Now she's an incredible free diver. So she used the cold water to actually process that pain and numb it so she could work through it. She used the silence of being underwater and the vibrational frequency of water to heal herself. She spent a lot of time out in the cold weather, and in forests. And that was incredible for her. Now she is an incredible free diver now, as I said. And again, it's like, how are you purging or dealing with that pain so it becomes a cathartic process? Like I said, when I was doing alpha, I vomited. I've cried a lot. One of the ladies in my up and coming book, Owning Our Ovaries, she actually lost her voice for a few days, and she was very sick because she hadn't released that pain. Those of you who have had fibromyalgia, a lot of fibromyalgia is unresolved trauma. Now, that might be a controversial statement to make, but those of us who have studied how trauma is stuck in the body. I'm thinking about Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps Score, and my latest book by Gabor Mate, When the Body Says No, The Cost of Hidden Stress. Oh my God. I've only skimmed through it. I haven't finished, really started it yet, because I know that when I do, I'm just going to go down that rabbit hole. When we look at how stress impacts our body and the cortisol and the adrenal and the weight gain and, the lack of sleep, etc., we need to make sure that we can find that process where we can just get it out of our body, whether that is through crying, whether that is, like I say, some people use exercise and they will run and I will swim. I do a lot of swimming. And it's about being mindful, as I've written here, about releasing. We want our mind to be full of positivity. We want it to be full of peace. So how can we take the chaos and the pain or the fear and the anxiety and move that out of our mind and then drop down into our bodies to actually then purge it out of our bodies? And how do we surrender to the highest calling that we actually have? It might be that you need a therapist. I have a therapist. I have a coach. I have a friend that is a trauma healer. So again, it's about making sure that we have those people on hand to help us move things out of our head, out of our body, and actually be able to fill that, because our bodies and our minds are like a vacuum. Once we've removed something, there's that space. Now, what we can do is either fill it with crap, like junk food and mindless TV or phone games or whatever, or we can fill it with other good stuff. We can fill it with high vibrational foods. We can fill it with high vibrational activities, with joy, with laughter, with love, with gratitude. So always keep a gratitude journal is one of the things I would say at the end of every night. Keep a gratitude journal. Hand it all up to God, or hand it all up to the universe or source or whatever you call it. I'm not talking ketchup. When I say source, and I know that you know that, but a little bit of cheekiness there for you. But again, it's about making sure that you're grateful for every day, that you're grateful that you get to write. You're grateful that you get to have a pen and paper to write with, or a laptop to write with. What are you grateful that you get to do? And again, it's all about that, reframing it. And when we're actually stepping into gratitude, we can actually make new meanings. Because if there's something that us humans do, is we create meaning around things. We get to change the way we see what's happened or what's happening in the world. Now, we could say that the world is a really terrible place, but as somebody who's just spent 7 years traveling around the world nonstop by herself, going into what most people would say is a very dangerous place in the world, I know that the world is a very loving, very caring, very giving place, and the people with the least amount often give the most. And I've had to really rechange and switch my story about being back in Britain, because it's a very different country to the one I left, and I've left it 3 times. And I still keep coming back. Sometimes I ask myself why. Um, there's no warm tropical waters for a start. No palm trees, no fresh fruit growing out the ground or off the trees. Well, there's apples and pears, but there's not quite it's not quite pineapples growing out the ground, and orange and lemon trees and or banana plants, is there really? But anyway, switch up your story to change your life. Whereas a friend of mine, I call her Tonge, but her name is Tonya. She, you change your story, change your life. And again, it's about how we change our story, how we alchemize it so other people can change up their life. I've already spoken about energy in motion. I've spoken about releasing, if, like, for example, you have had trauma, and where we've believed that it happened to us or we've been attracting it, release the shame and the guilt. Sometimes it can be really hard, but this is one of the reasons why I offer author coaching to people, because I know how to release it from my body. I know how to alchemize it. And there are other publishers out there, and there are other author coaches, but you've got to find the one who knows what it is that you're going through, or it gets as close to possible of knowing what you've been through. I've lived through civil war, I lived through the Egyptian uprising, I've lived through trauma, family rejection, racism, and Islamophobia. I've been through a lot in my life, and this is one of the reasons why I offer that coaching to other people who are writing a story. And I've exposed government corruption, I've exposed police abuse and systemic abuse. I know what it is that I'm talking about. Like I said, I am somebody who writes. I'm not just a publisher or an author coach. I've written a lot of hard-hitting books. So I know what it is that you're going through when you're writing these books. The other thing is, if you have been through something and you've got other things that are going on in your life, make the choice to walk away if it's not serving you. I recently had to walk away from a project, and I was so devastated that I had to walk away, but I'd given too much and not being appreciated enough. And I had to just walk away for my own sanity and for the sake of my own well-being and for my own happiness. So again, if there's something that you're working on, if there's an environment or an organization you're part of, or even your family, it's not easy to walk away from your family, but having had to do it and put massive distance between me and my family, it can be really hard, but it's sometimes the best thing that you can ever do. You don't want to be in a toxic environment. You don't want to be in an environment where there are a lot of red flags. You are writing. You need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, you take care of the words that you're writing, your vocabulary choice switches up. If you're going into a book and you're writing with anger or animosity or resentment or pain, I'm not saying writing about trauma or corruption is not going to make you angry. It will, but again, when you step back and take a bit and you switch up your energy, the choice of words that you come to the manuscript with, it changes and it becomes a lot gentler for the reader. And that's the most important thing. It's about making sure that the words that we're using are the correct words. Now, to give an example, I have the 7-week author course, which has got workbooks, and they are workbooks. You have journaling in there, you have action plans in there, you have tracking tools, you have paragraphs of reading for you to then reflect on. And you've got about 30 pages in each of those, and each of them have been designed for you to work through on a daily basis as part of your day. It's not just pages of lines with a quarter-page selfie picture of me or a stock photography. That's a notebook. And again, it's about where we choose the words and we're conscious about the words. Those of you who have learned more than one language, you will know what it's like to actually really consciously choose the correct word, either in your mother tongue or your second, third, and fourth and fifth languages, or many more. So again, when we actually deal with ourselves and we release stuff from within us, we then we're able to gift a much more powerful, much gentler reading experience for our readers. Um, One of the things I've just read here is just right. Don't think about it. Again, it's that conscious, unconscious creation process that I was talking about. If you want to know more about that, book a session with me. It's free author coaching strategy session. If you want to know more about that, then we can talk about that. But it's about you mind mapping and actually putting the chapters and then the bullet points. I mentioned it in a previous session. And then if you put them on A4 pieces of paper, you can actually move them around. It makes it a lot more fluid. I mean, I use paper on a wall, which is why I'm looking over there, but you might actually want to just use it in a document. I don't know how you would do it. I don't do it. You'd have to ask my son how to do that, or might know how to do it. But again, it's like when you're writing about different chapters, don't stay rigid. Keep that fluidity. Be like water. Water is always in motion. It goes round obstacles, it goes over them, it seeps through the ground and comes up and around. So make sure that when you're writing your chapters and you're actually organizing the manuscript, that you don't stay rigid, because it might be that, you know what, we need to address this point first. When I was doing the Alive to Thrive book with Debbie Debonair, this one here, this was about life after attempting suicide by quite a number of women. And reading these chapters, we had discussed a particular order for the chapters, but I reread them again. I said we can't have them in that order. One, because it might look like we're racially profiling one ethnicity over another one, but we were also having to look at the different topics and how it would impact the reader. We didn't want to be too heavy-handed with the harsher subjects up front or in the middle or at the end. There needed to be that ebb and flow. We also needed to be, like I said, respectful of the balance of ethnicity and languaging and resolution to the story. So there's a lot that goes into sharing the different chapters. God, I've got so many books on my desk. I say so many. There's only about half a dozen. Okay, so make sure that you've got that ease and flow when you're putting your chapters together. Then the other things that I want you to consider when you're writing, is this book personal? Because if it's personal, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult for you to step back out of it, because you're really quite emotionally attached. You might not want to say certain things in the way that would be best for you to say them. There might be things that you really want to say and that you really have to say. Oh, and trust me, I've been there, and I've deleted. I have, a couple of the times I've written books, I've just purged out 10, 20, 30,000 words and then hit delete, because I had to get it out. I had to get that negative energy out. If it's professional, again, you might want to go through that whole, write it all out, get all the anger and the frustration and the out of you, and then delete it. But have a look at the situation. Was it something that the thing that you're writing about, was it something that was layered bit by bit? You know, like a grain of sand here, grain of sand here. Well, you've got a sand pit, then you've got a beach, and then you've got a desert. You know, how was it layered? How did this thing that you are writing about, how did it come about? Who is to blame? What is to blame? Is it that we had, for example, we're here in Britain, a lot of people's lives, and Europe, a lot of people's lives, well, globally actually, were impacted by Brexit, especially a lot of business people, which then impacted individuals on a very personal level. People lost their homes, people lost their jobs, they lost their sense of self-worth. And then again, it happened with COVID, and looking at the layering of fears that the government keep putting us through as human beings and as a global community. What is that doing? And where can we find the forgiveness in all of that? Can we find forgiveness in the sense that the individuals didn't know what the others? Now, those of you who have watched um, films on terrorism and gangs and things, you tend to find that they have these cells, the people that know one piece of information, these people know another piece of information, they know another bit, but they don't know all of it. But so those individuals are not really to blame for not knowing the bigger picture, but they are responsible for the part they played. So again, it's like, where can we find forgiveness? When I was raped, it's like, can I find forgiveness for the person who did it? Can I find forgiveness for the person who spiked me? Were they one of the same person? Where can I find forgiveness in that? Was it because they've had a traumatic life? Was it because they felt rejected, or that they felt whatever it is? Like, again, it's about reframing it, making new meanings. And how can we release that, because otherwise we're poisoning ourselves, and we don't want to pass that on to our reader. We do not want to pass that negative energy onto our reader. Like I said, step back to step forward, and what can you use to anchor yourself into this new place of forgiveness and love and compassion and grace? Because when we write from that place, everything flows a lot more easily. And like I said, your vocabulary switches up and you can write from a much more tender place. When you also do that, you get rid of judgment. We do not want to be writing from a place of judgment and nastiness. We can judge a situation, but again, when people say that judging others is a really bad thing, and I disagree. Judging others is not a bad thing, because it helps us form our own boundaries. It allows us to look at a situation, say, is that for me? No, it's not. That's a judgment. I'm going, yeah, I don't really want to live like that. Or no, that really is not for me. Or that cup of tea is a bit too hot. Or that cup of tea still hasn't arrived. Or yeah, I'm hinting to the person who's in the room, I need a cup of tea. So again, when we say that judgment is a bad thing, I disagree. It's not a bad thing. The water's not cold enough. I don't want to live like some people, but other people don't want to live like me. I am judging for my own set of boundaries and for my own elevation, but also to make sure that I'm learning and I'm making sure that something is safe for me because of what I might have been through. Is it safe for me to go into that environment? Is it the right environment for me? I'm judging. Are they too intelligent, or are they not intelligent enough? Is this the right kind of conversation? Is it the kind of, activism that I want to be part of? Is it mindless violence activism, or is it intelligent activism? Again, we have to judge a situation so that we can actually share the story in a way that's really powerful. And but we can't put judgment in the sense that, oh, well, you're a really bad person. We don't know what that person's been through. We can judge, but it's about judging the situation rather than the individuals. Now, you'll have probably heard you need to show, don't tell. Some people find this really hard, and in some situations, you do just have to tell the story. Showing it is sometimes really incredibly difficult, especially if you haven't gone through this energy healing, or you haven't gone through this switch up of vocabulary. And sometimes the situation just doesn't allow you, or the content doesn't allow you to show. And it's all well and good for some editors to say, well, you haven't shown us, you've just been telling us. You're an editor, you're not the writer. And sometimes you just need to tell. And I prefer to say sharing rather than showing, because you're inviting people in, you're inviting your reader to actually be on that journey with you. And it's about the different perspectives that we can give to people when we're writing, and go, well, actually, this is what happened, and we have to remember that this is what happened from this point of view. And I remember, gosh, nearly over 30 years ago, when I worked in insurance, we were learning how to assess an insurance claim. We used car accidents, because you can have the exact same car accident, but you will have it from different people's perspectives. The same thing happened, But the person who was on the right-hand side of the car saw something very different to someone who was on the left-hand side, to the person behind and the person in front. So again, look at, when you're writing, look at all the different perspectives from that story. Again, if you need some support with doing that, then you can always book a session with me. Now, in Islam, we always say, begin with Bismillah. And we always say Alhamdulillah, which means, you know, we were setting out on this journey with peace and with gratitude and with the love and a good intention. And when we say Alhamdulillah, we say, oh, thank God it wasn't worse, because whatever it is that you have been through or what you have seen happen, it could have been worse, could have always been worse. So we have to step into that gratitude. And sometimes I mean, I haven't read the book Stoicism, but I do remember that when certain things have happened in my life, I go, well, you know, it could have been worse. And I'm grateful that this happened. I've learned a lot, and, you know, they've made their choice. And I can either choose to stay in the past, or I can choose to move through it into the future. And that is what we're doing with our books. We're writing something to take people from point A to point B to point C and beyond. We're not keeping them stuck. And a great evergreen book is actually going to look at that transformational journey. And we have to actually remember that the truth that we have is not somebody else's truth. Facts are facts. But depending on the way we see things, so for example, color blindness, I choose colors in my branding very, very carefully, in how we layer the colors on the slides, because I wouldn't be able to put the red on the green. I mean, I really don't like how these Zoom screen sharings are done, because for people that are colorblind, the green and the red that's together is not very good for people. You know, you would think that people at Zoom would actually understand the colorblind issue, but they still use green next to red and green on red and red on green. Again, these are facts that I know, and because I had to pay attention with that, with cover design and with slides and marketing and branding psychology. And we always have to remember, did this thing happen? This thing that we're writing about, has it happened as we are seeing it happen? Has it happened with malice? Has it happened with a lack of foresight? And we have to come back to the intention. Now, in Arabic, we call it niyyah. What is your niyyah? Is your niyyah in the right place? Your intention. What is your intention for writing this book? Is it to slam someone? Is it to criticize and expose people because, you know, you really need exposing? Or is it, okay, we need to expose this, and we need to talk about this so we can prevent it from happening again, or we can hold these accountable, or that the corporates that have committed corporate manslaughter or corporate espionage or what have you, so that we can prevent other companies doing it. And what were the lessons that were learned in that we can write a book about to actually prevent it happening? So again, it's all about coming back to what is the intention, moving forward to the resolution and the transformation, and doing it with, as I put here, grace, ease, flow, love. Because when you have all of that and you are mindful of grace, you're mindful of love and forgiveness, then you will have peace following. So that is today's session. Thought that was very good myself. Very full, very fast, a lot of stuff. Probably not what you were expecting. But again, it's all about the energetic way in which we do things. And again, thank you very much for being here with me, with my love of literature and pulling books out of everywhere. I do appreciate you. There's me in Colombia on the rooftops looking out. Well, I wasn't looking out at the Caribbean there, but the Caribbean is just behind those chairs that you see there. And very, very big love to Pal, Chopper and Rick. Pal took the photos there, and that was a very hot day. So how my hair is not frizzy, I have no idea. But thank you so much for learning to grow with me here. Let me just see if I can just spring this back. I don't know how to go back. Hang on. I need to do a stop share, don't I? So I will now go, and those of you who wish to book a time with me, you can do so by going to authors.youcanbook.me. You will be able to do that by visiting the website, like I said, authors.youcanbook.me. It's a 45-minute session where it's not a sales call. I am here to help you grow and become the best author, the best writer you can be. I'll help you look at your strategy. If you choose on that call that I'm someone you want to work with, that's all well and good. That's great. I might not be the person for you. I've just had a really lovely call with a gentleman called Sam. Incredible manuscript. Can't wait to read it. But I'm not going to publish him because his book needs somebody in very specific genre. And he just needed to plan it all out, and that was the time I gave him. So please don't think that these are sales calls cloaked in generosity. If you choose to work with me, great. If you don't, also great. I'm here to help you get your strategy correct. Those of you who want to learn from me, but don't have the capacity to work with me up close and personal, or don't have the funds available, consider taking the 7-week author course. It is here. Like I say, you will see the module 1, which is mastering the art of book writing. Module 2, vision creation for maximum impact. Number 3 is show me the money. It's how you plan your party and actually call in the money. We'll show you where it is so that you can live and love life your way, looking at the environment you're creating within yourself and around you, and also the physical impact of writing and publishing books. Then looking at what is beyond the money, beyond the royalties, and then what is next for you on your journey of being an author. So there is a 7-week author course. And just so that you know, I'm very excited about this. I'm actually creating the DBI Author Academy and the DBI Lovers of Literature community. And so if you have a love of literature, obviously you're here, you must do. At some level anyway. If you'd love to join my Lovers of Literature community and then learn about the Author Academy, do let me know. Make sure you sign up to my email list, dawnbates.com/dive-in. You'll find that on the website, dawnbates.com. Go and have a look at it. If there's anything there that takes your fancy, then do let me know. If you'd like to reach out, make sure you come through the website. Or respond to one of the emails that you get sent. But do sign up and do be in contact, because if I can help you on your journey, then I would absolutely love to. I hope you found that really useful. And to those of you who are joining on YouTube, thank you for being here. And yeah, I look forward to being able to be of service to you next week. Thanks for now. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.